July has been throwing new games almost non-stop, although finding the ones that are even worth downloading is a sort of a different ballgame. Hello friends, this is Mobo and today we're checking out 20 more new games in July for Android and iOS. Alright, so first of all, a little bit of a quick mention. After almost 7 years of updates, events, and a bunch of new content, Left to Survive has become a pretty good, polished zombie shooting game that's almost easily recommended. And the reason we are including the game in the list is just developers came out with the 8th anniversary milestone, which is pretty impressive. Importantly, Left to Survive is one of those mobile games that has been around long enough to actually earn its place. It's not trying to be the next big survival zombie apocalypse masterpiece of it. It just knows exactly what it is. It's some good shooting, ton of weapons and rewards to unlock, and a pretty good journey as well. Check it out in case you missed it. The game is online and it's about 1.5 gigabytes in total. Flash Peak, in fact, just landed on Android worldwide, and you've pretty much no reasons not to play it if you have like even a tiny little bit of interest in football. The game is as if someone took street ball, stripped away the rules, and just slowed down things and turned it into an arcade brawler. It's got 5-minute matches, bunch of character abilities, constant back and forth action all make it all very easy to get hooked, and the third-person camera gives you like much more control than you'd expect from an actual football game, and well, teamwork actually matters this time instead of everyone trying to be the hero. So look, if the servers stay healthy and the balancing holds up, this could, in my opinion, end up getting way more attention. Sitting on the Play Store for almost a couple of weeks and almost 1 million downloads ever since. And number 3, we've got Hunting Rivals, shooting game. You know, in my opinion, this game feels like what mobile has been missing for a little while. Like, it doesn't throw non-stop top of action, it actually slows things down and lets you enjoy the hunt. Lining up shots, tracking animals, and bit by bit upgrade your gear and get better. The multiplayer is a pretty nice surprise as well, adding a bit of friendly competition without taking away from the solo experience. I would say if developers keep adding events and more content, I can definitely see this one becoming even bigger. On another hand, on number 4, in fact, this one also took over a little week, but if you missed it, so The Walking Dead Aftermath is now finally out as of this morning, and it is legit. The game's a survival roguelike in the Walking Dead universe, with the series' characters and a little bit of story as well, and that's pretty much the whole thing. It's survival at its core with random upgrades that can either save your run or ruin it depending on your luck, and between runs then it sort of flips into some base building stuff where you're upgrading, managing survivors, etc. It's a free game, it's got optional ads for extra rewards, and takes you about 500 megabytes in total. Car driving multiplayer is in our list today because it just got a nice chunk of updates, bit of tweaks on the gameplay and some more content as well. For those of you who missed it, it's an open world playground basically for anyone who enjoys driving around. Every vehicle handles differently. You've got sport cars, SUVs, trucks, all feel right. You can customize engines, suspension, flex them in front of other folks if you've got some money to throw around. It's got a big world, loads of challenges, real-time races, and like you can meet up with friends as well. Honestly, it really brings almost sort of something like Forza. All it needs at the moment is probably just a controller support option. Pretty good game. Down to number 6, a bit of a big leap here. We've got something here called Galactic Triad, which I would say is that satisfying roguelike loop of dropping into a different place every time, blasting everything that moves because it's just fun, and coming back slightly more prepared next time. In fact, the cool part about this game, besides the fact that it's been downloaded almost 200,000 times in just days, is that it doesn't throw you in like one single playstyle. You get to pick between soldiers, engineers, and healer, which actually change how you approach each run. The random maps, the upgrades, wave-based fights all give it that one more run feeling, especially if you're into games like Soul Knight. Anyway, it's not reinventing the genre is what I'm saying, but it's a solid shooting game for little small sessions to go with. Laundry Simulator is one of those management games that somehow makes doing laundry way more fun than it has any right to be even. Well, first of all, I know there's no doubt like thousands of these laundry or other sort of sim games released throughout the year, but this one's, I would say, argue, highly recommended. Like, I like the fact that it is an idle game in nature, pretending to be a sim, because you're constantly repairing, getting supplies, making upgrades. There's always something to work towards. If you're the kind of player who can lose an hour just organizing, this will definitely become your next obsession. Office 21, in fact, just came our way from an indie developer in town, and it's a horror adventure game a little bit inspired by both Five Nights at Freddy's and also the Backrooms. What I mean is that it sort of takes a very ordinary place, turns it into this sort of a nightmare where you'll actually need one to explore. It's also definitely inspired by the Paranormal Activity movies. Like, you work in the night shift in this office with these strange mechanics, very strange events, and some disturbing enemies to even deal with. You've also got resource management that make you decide when it's safe to leave your desk or not at all. It's an offline game, it's a paid game, it's available on Android only. Up at number 9, we've got Real Bus Sim. And before you even get there, there's like a million bus simulator games out there, but this one actually gives you that full work in the road feeling instead of just traffic and calling it realism. You pick up passengers, deal with the weather, manage fuel, and in fact teach you how to properly drive a bus, not like a maniac. It sort of low-key turns into a game you play to just relax your brain for a bit and then also learn some driving. Definitely more impressive than expected for a bus sim and a free game as well. Ragnarok New World, in fact, if you missed it, just landed on Android and iOS this morning. It is still going around. It will be officially globally available at all times by the end of the night. And, well, I could say after a few months of polish, we're happy to report it's not another attempt to recycle just the Ragnarok name. It's almost the biggest swing the series has taken in years. It's got a true open world, cross-platform play, far more freedom in how you build your character this time. The promise of, in fact, switching classes whenever you want and cutting back on the usual MMO grind is honestly the best part that caught me off guard. It's still Ragnarok, so if the endgame holds up after the honeymoon phase, which is just a month maybe, I will personally recommend it to everyone. Right now, I would say it's a solid 7.5 out of 10. Pixel Mega Shot at number 11 almost reminded me why old school run and gun games never really go out of style, especially if they're made of pixel art. It's just good old tight controls, reflexes, that feeling of finally beating a level that kept knocking around for like an hour. I also personally like that it doesn't even try to overcomplicate things with like 100 different mechanics. And sometimes all you really need is just a good shooting, a boss, and a reason to say one more try. If you're into retro platformers like Contra, this is an easy recommendation, in fact. Now look guys, this actually took probably 4 years of non-stop developer work, but for those of you prior to this couldn't have hands on it, World Legends is now finally available on both stores. Globally, you can play it wherever you are right now. World Legends, in fact, one of those games that feels like you're like behind everybody else the moment every match starts, which basically it's a difficult game to play. There's heroes, spells, all that stuff, but in the moment it's just you reaching fast and hoping your army actually does what you've planned and touched. It feels super clean, gives you all that and even more of that Warcraft charm all along the way. It's a free game as well, why not? Tiny Divines is another survival game with these idle mechanics, if that makes sense. Like instead of shoving systems down your throat, it actually lets you build what you like, one run at a time, while playing with different skills, classes, and combos, etc. to actually enjoy the game for once. In fact, the art also gives it a pretty neat look that makes it stand out and enjoyable, and there's also enough strategy underneath to keep things interesting for the long run. Easy to jump into for a few minutes, pretty hard to put down after you've realized you've been playing it for hours.
Adventure instead.
On another hand, we've got this thing called Big Con, which is a pretty goofy little 90s sort of road trip adventure where you're this teenage scam artist trying to save your family's store before it sort of goes under. So yeah, instead of whatever, fighting monsters and playing sim games, you're out there simply pickpocketing people, sneaking around malls, picking things up, hustling strangers, and talking your way out of trouble every time you get into one. The whole thing leans pretty hard into that VHS era. It's just full of awkward humor, lots of old school nostalgia and dumb teenage stuff. Probably just the best way possible to go with, in fact. Fallen Souls found its way to iOS alongside the Android version, and it's finally available globally as of today. The game is not a typical idle RPG, I would say. There's actually some strategy and a very huge battle system that you're gonna learn for the long run how to even manage, where hero placement and troop combinations are your bread and butter all the game. On top of that, it's got some real good looks, a great setting, progression's generous, there's plenty of PvP and PvP content to keep you busy. If you like idle RPGs but want one that makes you think instead of just button mashing, this one's a pretty good recommendation in fact. Going up to number 16, we've got Modern Strike Online, which has been around for years, so finally seeing it get a fresh beta is actually pretty interesting. It still has that fast old school shooting FPS feel where matches are quick, movement snappy, you can jump into a game without committing half your day. The biggest question right now is whether this test can smooth out the balancing and matchmaking, because that's always been where Modern Strike stumbled. And yeah, it may not reinvent the genre or it being that type of action shooter, but for anyone who grew up playing mobile first-person shooters, it already feels familiar in just the right way. Pretty good game, it's available on Android right now. Modern Jet Fighter, although we did have a lot of indie developers going for a pretty good attempt at aerial combat games, is a brand new one in town in that category. And it's kind of a mobile game that understands the simple joy of just jumping into fighter jets and just playing with different flying physics. It also keeps things pretty interesting, pretty straightforward. You take off, you lock onto enemies, dodge the missiles, trying to outfly whatever gets in front of you basically. It's not a total aerial fighting, though it does give you that quick mobile dogfight feeling with missions, different combat scenarios, and the offline mode is a pretty nice touch as well. It's a free game, it's just over 200 megabytes in total. Yeah, Cockroach Prank is a open world spider hero game, for lack of a better word, except you're a roach with the ability to fly in the first place. I do recommend this game to anyone who's just simply disgusted by cockroaches to overcome the fear here, because you are the roach yourself this time. And you gotta fully embrace the role too to make it out alive. It has a goofy sandbox too that sort of reminds you of the weird mobile games people used to discover by accident and end up playing for hours just because like you couldn't stop laughing with friends. That's basically the whole thing. On another hand, we've got Plague Doctor Sim, which it sort of takes the old management sim mobile gamers love and makes it pretty relaxing for once, you know? Where instead of fighting a bunch of zombies or diseased people or building an empire, you're just this medieval doctor walking around with a plague mask, collecting herbs, mixing remedies, trying to keep villages alive one treatment at a time. The gameplay's pretty simple, it's strangely satisfying seeing your little clinic and people improve along the way, and it's not a deep medical sim game or anything too complicated, just one that has a pretty unique atmosphere to begin with. Free game, it's offline, 200 megabytes in total, it's neat. Now, Gravity Quest's in fact one of those small mobile games you randomly download. Icon was cool, and it's one of those games you end up spending way more time than you ever even thought you would. And the idea is pretty simple in fact. You bend gravity, move through puzzle rooms, collect these gems, find your way forward. But the real fun comes from how often it makes you stop and rethink your approaches. It has a classic puzzle platformer feeling where like one tiny change in movement can completely open up like a new path. Nothing massive or overwhelming either, just a clean, clever game that respects your time for free. It's also offline, so why not? Down to number 21, we've got Citycraft Party World, which is basically that old classic mobile sandbox itch where you just mess around, create your own little world with friends without worrying about nothing. It mixes building, action, exploration, decoration, simple little role-playing games into an open city that's almost like Roblox. And the fun comes from making your own stories here, you know, building a house, the more weird the better, driving around, checking out different areas, just seeing what the world throws at you. It's a free game, although it's online, it doesn't have controller support, and it's available on Android only for now. And last but not least, we've got something here called ESP Heroes, which is an idle RPG that's, I would say, has a lot more than to offer than just numbers going up. Yeah, it's not trying to reinvent idle games by any means, but if the progression stays rewarding down the line and the updates keep coming, because it is in that state right now, this could be one of those easy games you keep checking in every few hours without even thinking about it. The combat moves at a pretty good pace, and most of your time is spent on upgrading. Got a great pixel art, we give it a solid 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching, I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know which one's your favorite today. I'll see you again tomorrow. Ciao.